Now, that group left here about an hour ago. As we speak, they're on their way to Pembroke Pines to be processed. They did tell authorities they paid smugglers to bring them here. We are live in Key Largo. Roger Borges, CBS 4 News.
We're following a breaking story right now, an accident on I-95 involving a Metro bus.
Joy Purdy has details from the newsroom. Joy.
Maggie, Steve, there are the live Chopper 4 pictures for you. I-95 just under the 112 overpass. A wreck involving that Miami-Dade Metro bus, and it appears it is rear-ended that black car you see in front of it. Not sure at this point who's at fault there, but there are injuries. Fire and rescue crews there attending to those injuries, and as you can see, that traffic just seems to go on for miles. So if you're heading in that direction, I-95 northbound under the 112 overpass, you might want to find another route. We're going to keep you posted on this one. Live in the newsroom, Joy Purdy, CBS 4 News.
People in a Broward neighborhood are on guard tonight after the discovery of a raccoon with rabies. Animal control workers went door to door today to warn people that more rabid animals could be in the area. The raccoon was picked up last week after it attacked 2 people. It's the 13th rabid animal found in Broward since July of 2000.
See raccoons here all the time. You know, they get in my garbage, and raccoons and possums. And so it's good to know that there's some out there that are going to hurt you.
Both bite victims are currently being treated. A rabies alert in Broward had just been lifted in January.
A 13-year-old riding a bike crashes into a school bus. Chopper 4 over the scene there on Northwest 20th Street and Coral Ridge Drive in Coral Springs. That child was rushed to the hospital after hitting the side of the bus. There's no word yet on his condition. A bank robber is caught on surveillance tape. Towards the bottom of your screen there, you can clearly actually see the suspect pulling a gun on the clerk, and moments later, he takes off with a bag full of cash. It happened this morning at the Bank Atlantic on 13th Avenue and Southeast 17th Street in Fort Lauderdale. Police are still searching for that suspect.
Rescue crews raced to get a severely burned man to the hospital in southwest Miami-Dade. Investigators say he was working on an engine when a spark ignited a fire in his garage. The man suffered burns over about 18% of his body.
A heavyweight child advocate is calling for the resignation of DCF Secretary Kathleen Carney. At the same time, we're learning of another foster care foul-up. Here's CBS 4's Mike Kirsch with the story. Mike?
Well, Maggie, this new DCF horror story involves 6 brothers and sisters who were physically and sexually abused by a DCF-appointed foster care mother whose own birth children were previously taken away by the DCF for the same abuses.
In DCF's troubled history of abused foster care children emerges the disturbing story of the Lynch kids, 6 brothers and sisters who were physically and sexually abused over several years by a DCF-appointed foster care parent named Jackie Lynch, whose own birth children had been taken away by DCF for the same abuse years earlier. The placement happened in the early 90s when DCF Chief Kathleen Carney, then a juvenile court judge, can't recall if she herself may have conducted the judicial review to place the children with the abusive foster parent. This for another judge who was out of town.
But I may have very easily conducted a judicial review if he was out or sheltered.
Carney does clearly remember the state of Florida having to pay out $5 million to the Lynch kids in an out-of-court settlement.
Those children were not handled well at all by the system, so this matter was resolved and settled.
It is precisely troubling cases like the Lynch kids and continued abuse and missing children cases under Carney's watch that has prompted a national child welfare watchdog group to call for Carney's resignation as DCF chief.
Kathleen Carney did not take a good organization and make it bad. Kathleen Carney took a bad agency and made it worse.
Carney is criticized for taking too many children prematurely out of families that are not given a chance to resolve their child care issues.
We feel Carney needs to resign because her take-the-child-and-run approach to child welfare has backfired. It is causing profound harm to children. It is needlessly destroying families.
The watchdog group says the DCF's claims that foster care kids are increasingly being safely returned to their original homes is misleading.
They count as safely returned home a child who has aged out of the system. They count a child who has run away. They count a child who has been put in jail. They even count as safely returned home a child who has died. To the Florida Department of Children and Families, a safe home can be a graveyard.
Kathleen Carney has not yet responded to this latest call for her resignation. Governor Jeb Bush responded to the Washington-based watchdog group's call for Carney's resignation with this statement.
Mr. Wexler may not know much about Florida. In fact, he's in Washington. It doesn't give me a lot of confidence he knows much at all.
Now, on the matter of Kathleen Carney's alleged unauthorized credit card use, the story uncovered by my CBS 4 News colleague Gary Nelson, the Florida bar announced today that it will open a file on the case, stopping short of announcing an investigation of this case. Mike Kirsch, CBS 4 News.
On Capitol Hill, the House has just approved a new revamp of America's welfare system. The GOP plan will press more single mothers to work and provide millions of dollars to promote marriage and sexual abstinence. Democrats argue many former welfare recipients still live in poverty because the jobs they find don't pay enough.
Still ahead here on CBS 4 News at 6, credit card fees seem to be getting higher and higher, but there are some things you can do to beat them. Al Sunshine has details in tonight's Watchdog Week report.
A controversial plan is pitting neighbor against neighbor in one South Florida community. Tonight we'll show you both sides of the fence in this heated debate.
Tonight you can ask the experts about skin cancer. To learn more about the disease or how to cut your risk, just call our experts at 305-597-4404 until 6:30.
You're watching CBS 4 News with Maggie Rodriguez, Steve Wolford, Jim Berry Sports, and meteorologist Brian Norcross.
Coming up on the next Entertainment Tonight, which one of these handsome stuntmen is George Clooney's body double? Plus steamy Latin soaps, the romance, the sex, what really happens behind the scenes of